When you first start your weight loss journey, then you will have a lot of progress at the very beginning. You will basically have a progress that is like this, where you are starting here at some point, and then you're gonna just lose weight really fast. And at some point, maybe you gain back some weight, you're gonna go down in weight again, and a couple weeks later, you're gonna go back up and down. And this is basically how a really healthy weight loss journey looks like. But then at some point, without you changing anything, you're still eating the same food, you're still in a caloric deficit, you're doing the same exact amount of cardio training and exercises, but then something will happen and you will basically just flatline. You will hit the wall where your weight is not going down anymore. And in today's video, I want to share how you can simply get out of this point where you are stagnating or where you are facing this wall, so that you will finally be able to get down to a point that is your goal weight. So let's say that you already have in check that you have a caloric deficit. We take data of myself. Basically, when I started my weight loss journey, I was eating around 1,800 calories. And then at some point with eating 1,800 calories, it was not low enough anymore for me to lose more weight. And in that moment, what I was doing is basically just increasing my cardio training. And I was eating like the same calories, but I was going for a walk now. And in my case, I was walking 10,000 steps, which burned like 300 calories here. I hope you can see that on the whiteboard. And basically what happened then, by eating the exact same amount of food, but by walking a lot more, my breaking point here where I didn't lose weight anymore was just basically going down slowly again. And then it was the same like at the beginning here. It was me gaining a little bit of weight, going down, gaining weight, going down, until the point where, of course, it happened again and I stagnated, it flatlined again, and I basically stopped losing weight. And at this point, it's very frustrating that you are doing the exact same thing, but at some point it looks like your body is refusing to simply give up on the fat. And then you might be frustrated and think like, okay, you know what? I already increased my step count and I may or may not already have decreased my calories. There must be a secret that I'm missing here to basically never hit the wall and not stagnate. And there's one tiny thing that you can do. You can make it a combination of eating less and walking more, or you can just simply increase the steps that you are doing. You could, for example, go for 15,000 steps, which would now be 450 calories. So basically you are not burning the 300 calories, but an extra 150 calories. And this 150 calories difference could already be the breaking point that the next wall that you are hitting here will not exist anymore, and that you basically will be able to go down a tiny bit more, then a tiny bit back up like the normal weight loss journey, a little bit down again until you hit the next wall basically. And I hope I make sense here. At that point, what you do is always going a step back and you try to figure out why you stagnate, because in the moment you are losing weight, you need like less calories to actually maintain your weight. That is basically hitting the wall, right? Your body is adapting really fast to the new calorie intake and also to your exercises. So in the moment you hit the wall, your body is just way more efficient with the calories you're eating. That is the only problem that we are facing here. And once you kind of face that problem, you just need to either reduce the amount of energy that you are taking into your body, aka the food. You just need to eat a little bit less, or you are increasing the amount of calories your body needs to maintain itself by simply increasing your step count and by like burning more of those calories by any kind of cardio training. And every single time you are going to hit the new wall, you are basically just repeating step number 1 and step number 2, where you're either decreasing your calories of the food, which by the way, I don't recommend that too much. You should stick to a certain amount of food in a day to not starve yourself. And rather than that, you should always just increase the step count. But at some point, when you are reaching a low enough body fat, then there's no point in increasing the cardio training anymore too much, because there's only so much time in a day that you can go for a walk. So basically then at that point you will need to cut out a little bit of food, but don't go overboard. Make this really tiny changes. So the next change, if this is the next wall but you increased your steps already, could be that you are just decreasing the amount of food that you eat by, let's say, 100 calories. So your new target would be 1,700 calories instead now. And this 100 calories that you are missing will basically just stockpile over the next, let's say, 10 to 15 days. And this 100 calories over a long enough time frame will make you lose a lot of body fat. So let's say you wanted to lose like 1 pound body fat, that is approximate 3.9k calories. Of course, at the beginning you will need to know how many calories you actually need, and I made a different video where you can basically figure that out. But before you jump into action and you blindly cut your calories now, or you increase your step count too much, let's get into the detail of how you can use this simple framework here to your advantage so that you can make it an actual plan for you to continue losing weight and to not hit the next wall that you cut the calories too much and you are basically going into starvation mode and stuff. Hi, my name is Dennis and I create simple, honest fitness content, sometimes with a whiteboard and really bad to read text. And if you're also on your way to a healthier lifestyle, make sure to hit that subscribe button to not miss out on future videos exactly like this one. Or with better typo. And what I really recommend at this point is that you go to the scale every single day and you just write the number down in one of those apps. And let's say your starting point is, for example, 160 pounds. And this is your weight that you currently have. And your goal weight would be, I don't know, like 130 pounds or something like that. Don't take those numbers too serious, they are just an example here. So if you're at this point and you lose some weight already in the first week like we have up here, then I really recommend every single day to just put the numbers down. And once you're facing the next wall, let's say this point here at 150 pounds, that was not a 5, oh boy. So basically 150 pounds. So you now have already lost 10 pounds, but you stagnate. And at this point, when your scale stays there for, let's say, 1 week, then you should readjust your calorie intake or increase the steps that you have. And then once the weight is going down slowly again, you basically do everything right. And if the weight does still stagnate, you need to either decrease your calories a little bit more or increase the calories you're burning. And that is basically the entire premise of this framework here. Every single time you hit a plateau, one of the two needs to change: the calories eaten or the calories burned, like the input or the output. But we are not going to stop just at the number of the scale here. You're also going to take before and after pictures, and I recommend doing those pictures like once a week. Always try to use the same spot so that you know exactly if or if not your body composition actually changes, because sometimes it also can happen that you are hitting a wall, like you are hitting it and you don't lose the weight anymore, but you're basically just gaining muscle mass at the same time. So your weight on the scale looks the exact same, but your actual body composition changes so that you have maybe a little bit less body fat, same weight, but more muscle mass. So you would now basically cut your calories and try to lose weight, but the only thing your body did was gaining muscles, which actually look more aesthetic than the fat that we have on our body. So we need to really be a little bit careful here that we are not just cutting numbers from the scale, but also to have our progress hold on a picture so that we can always know in a month from now, in a year from now, what was our starting point and if our body actually changed. And if our wall that we are facing is something completely different from our actual framework of the calories that we are eating. Now the whiteboard looks like a complete mess and I maybe should have removed some stuff. But the point is, sometimes you're hitting a wall and there's underlying reasons for it. If you made it this far into the video, then you seem to be really invested in your weight loss journey. Respect for that. You can do it. I believe in you. And because you are still here, I have a tiny bonus tip for you, which is kind of counterintuitive, but it helped me. For example, I was here in this plateau phase where I was not able to lose weight anymore. I reduced my calories and I also was increasing my steps, and nothing seemed to work. And then I was, funny enough, just over it and I was eating a bread with Nutella. And the next day I went on the scale, the number went down and I was kind of confused about that. And what I think what happened there is that I was so stuck in my loop that I wanted to lose weight that it kind of stressed me. And in the moment I had this stress in my body, I was not able to lose weight anymore. And then in the moment I was eating the Nutella bread, my stress was relieved basically, and I just was able to lose weight. So sometimes it has nothing to do neither with the calories you're eating and not with those calories you're burning, but it can also be that you are stressing too much about losing weight. And I think that you should have the weight loss journey as something that you are enjoying. And if you are hitting a plateau and nothing works, step number 1 here and step number 2 doesn't work, then just go and have one single day where you're giving yourself a break. Don't think about diets whatsoever, and just basically try to lift your mood up again and just eat whatever you want. Just don't go too overboard, and then maybe the magic will happen that all of a sudden the next day you're going to lose weight. And it would be really interesting to me if you had a similar experience where you were facing a wall at some point and then you basically just went and eat whatever and you gave yourself a break from the diet, and all of a sudden the next day you were losing weight again. That is like kind of crazy to me. It was super surprising and a little bit confusing, to be honest. So weight loss can be kind of complicated, but it doesn't have to be. And if you want to know the 3 most boring but easiest way to lose weight, you can go and watch this video next. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one.